A new report seeks to get to the bottom of vaccine hesitancy in South Africa and determine its extent. An online survey was conducted by the University of Johannesburg and the Human Sciences Research Council. It also looks at the extent to which people support or oppose vaccine mandates, and it found that just over half of the public supports compulsory vaccination at the workplace. Now, to discuss, we're joined by the Deputy Minister of Health, Dr. Sibongiseni Dhlomo. Doctor, thank you for being with us. What is your department's response to this? Any surprises here?
Good evening to you and good evening to your viewers. The report that was tabled by the HSRC this afternoon, I haven't gone through it either, and the minister also has not looked into it. But I could go with the highlights of what was presented in there. To say there is actually no actual reason. They were not looking mainly into the reasons. They were looking into the statistics of the vaccine hesitancy by races and by age groups. And so we accepted what their findings, which actually shows that it is still the younger age group that is hesitant as opposed to the older people who are actually who are vaccinated. There were no reasons provided on the report. It was just a survey to say, have you or have you not vaccinated, and where do they stay and all that. So it was not that detailed in terms of the report.
From the detail that I looked at, they did ask people why they were hesitant and what came up, and we know this often comes up anyway, so I think you can respond. Sometimes the effectiveness of vaccines, whether they work or not, is questioned. Second in line, side effects. And maybe this is a note to us in the media as well. We're not talking enough. I mean, we've had this huge worldwide study or vaccination program, and we could look at the stats in terms of side effects. But government as well, do you think government's taking its role as an educator of the public seriously when it comes to vaccines?
Yeah, we depend on your support to really be there with the society to actually educate. But I just went on that presentation, I made a comparison of just one country. I've just been to Cuba last week. I was surprised to get a report that in 45 days, they were able to vaccinate their population up to 93%. Now, the health consciousness, health promotion, health education is part of what is a norm. In that country, you walk about and say, nurse, doctor, I haven't checked my blood pressure for the week. Can you check me and see how I'm doing? So there are people who do prioritize in the world, in certain countries, their state of health. And again, here in this country, let's actually desegregate the data. The 50 and the 60-year-old going up to 70 are vaccinated up to 69%. So one would probably be close to be comfortable with such data if you compare with what we have in the world, pushing all adult population. But it is a younger age group with the social media pressures and other, comparing what actually we do give out compared to what actually they receive in the media. We have actually taken a seat back when we were requested by the young health professionals, the minister saying, we would like to drive a campaign by ourselves called Ki Ready, and we want to really convince and actually mobilize the young people to vaccinate. So, of course, the statistics that show that we are having about 20 to 25% hesitancy in the country is probably something that can be concerned, but that is what you see in the trend in most countries. 15 to 20% of those people in those countries, adult population, will still not vaccinate, no matter how much strategy you use. But however, we still need to accelerate the strategy and push and make communications much stronger than before.
So we are a little bit higher. It does sound like we're at around 25% overall in terms of the population that is vaccine hesitant. It goes up when you look at the white population, almost 1 in 2 people vaccine hesitant. It sounds like it hasn't changed throughout 2021. So it hasn't changed in a long time. Is that something that you're concerned about, that people aren't changing their minds and we seem to be stuck?
We are really moving very slowly. I was just checking the statistics last week that we are vaccinating about 40,000 per day, something that used to be much higher. We used to do about 150,000 per day. Now the figures are really down, and we are concerned about that. And we continue raising this information that from the scientists that are actually advising us, which is something, by the way, where in some of those statistics they were saying the trust on government is something that must be enhanced. We are saying we probably don't really get an information from anywhere else except the support that we get from our scientists. I mean, just 2 days ago, Professor Tulio Dilovero was actually awarded a prestigious award for being a scientist in the world that actually discovered Omicron. And those are the people who advise the minister in supporting us going forward. So we would want to say we should now rely more on these scientific findings than maybe some of those pressures that we get on social media, and maybe move forward. Because again, I'm stressing it's the older age group that is really vaccinated to a very acceptable level.
Yeah.
We still have to push to the younger generation to make sure they realize that all of us need to actually add our weight in the vaccination process.
Can we look at the context here? Earlier, we spoke to your department about the expiring vaccines, and it was confirmed that we would see millions expire in June, July, and August. I don't think we've had an update, but how many vaccines have we actually lost now because they've simply expired and nobody has taken up that jab?
I would not be having the update of the actual numbers of vaccines up there that has actually expired. But the way process that we wanted to put in place, you probably realize that while we are having vaccination up to 49% adult population, the countries in Africa are still battling. On average, countries in Africa are vaccinated up to 15%. So there were plans and processes to really make sure either we lend, borrow, or give this vaccination before it expires. So those processes, I would probably not be aware how much has actually expired before we could actually send it to the countries that actually are struggling. But the low and middle income countries in the world, largely in Africa, have wanted to buy vaccines, but the bigger countries have never been willing to. So we are one of 5 countries in Africa whose vaccination level sits right above 45%. The rest of Africa, they are sitting at 10, 15, and sometimes lower than that. So there were plans to donate or lend that vaccine, the vaccine ampules to those countries. I wouldn't know exactly what is the process there now.
Doctor, couldn't a lot of what is happening right now be due to the fact that Omicron is not as fatal as the previous variant? So people don't feel that their lives are at risk to the extent that they used to be?
Possibly, but there is no scientist who has actually advised us that this is the last variant that we have. All we now know is that this upsurge, of course, which we are noticing declining now, the positivity rate, some numbers and some deaths here are caused by an Omicron subvariant B4 and B5. Now, the scientists are saying if we're facing a new variant, we probably would have had, just like we had Delta, Omicron, and now a new variant, which we don't have. So possibly our people are looking into that, but we should be still pushing our figures quite high of vaccination because we don't know when we might have a new variant other than Omicron. Again, the scientists are saying continuously, if you are vaccinated, because of some similarities on these variants, you are less likely to really have a severe COVID-19 infection and death if you are vaccinated. There is still protection even with a new variant that might actually come our way. So let's just continue vaccinating because no one has actually indicated to us that there may not be a new variant coming anytime.
Doctor, finally and quickly, if you don't mind, what does government do with the research around vaccine mandates that half the population or so supports vaccine mandates?
Yeah, like I'm saying, that information came in today from the SHRC, but the position of government hasn't changed. We would actually not actually push that vaccine mandate. We have said people should and must vaccinate, and we are pleading with them to do so. And we are saying there's a carrot if you're vaccinated through these processes. The young people mainly want to fill in the stadia, want to go to entertainment areas where actually now you have to have a vaccination certificate. That part of a plea will continue from our government. We haven't changed that position as yet about vaccine mandate.
All right, thank you for your time tonight, Deputy Minister of Health, Dr. Sibongiseni Dhlomo.